You are listening to the Edtech Takeout from Grantwood AEA, an educational service agency that supports school districts in eastern Iowa with a focus on equity, excellence, and efficiency in education for all children.
Welcome to the Edtech Takeout, the podcast that serves up bite-sized technology tips for teachers. My name is Mindy Carney, and with me, as always, Jonathan Wiley.
Hey, how are you, Mindy?
Hi, fine. How are you?
I am pretty good. I was just talking to you before the show that our grand plan for writing intros for each other kind of went by the wayside. That didn't last very long, did it?
Well, for one of us, I did mine. It was your turn.
I didn't do my homework this week. I think that's what it came down to.
Don't pass the buck on me like this is an us thing. It's a you thing.
All right. Okay. Next week.
Yeah. So, some follow-up things from episodes in the past.
Man, we have more follow-up today than we have had in a long time.
Yeah, lots of things going on. Lots of topics brought up again that we have discussed in the past. So, did you want to start with Google Play?
Yeah, let's jump into that one. I think for Tech Nuggets on one previous episode, we talked about something called podbay.fm, which is a way that people can listen to podcasts on Chromebooks and different things like that. A very small update to that would be that you can do that on Google Play Music now.
Nice.
Which is something that is available for people to do. It will require your students probably to be 13 plus because it requires a Google account in order to log in and listen to things. But once you're in there, everything you want to listen to is free. So whether it's this podcast or another amazing podcast, you can do that in the Google Play Music website or on Google Play Music apps for iOS and Android.
I think we had this discussion just amongst the team, because I think I just asked this question to somebody the other day about that 13-year-old, to establish an account, whatever, with Adobe. Is it the same thing? Like if a teacher signs up for an account, can the students still use it? It's more about the giving out your information as a 13-year-old. How does it? Yeah, I mean, it seems so gray.
If you set up a class account and you let somebody else use that account, then I guess that would be your choice as the teacher to do that kind of thing. I think that is reasonably common practice in some places. So, the 13 plus restriction is about collecting personal data from people. Yeah. And, Google does that on a lot of their services. It's going to track the kind of things you listen to and maybe try and use that information for different things. But, maybe a classroom account would be a good way to go for that.
Yeah, right. Well, and as long as you're listening to it in class and allowing your students to use it in class, then it's much safer. I wouldn't send that information home with them maybe, but I don't know. Yeah. All right. So I have an update too.
Okay, let's hear it.
We, talked about screen time as one of our, hot topics, I guess. And the American Academy of Pediatrics just came out with a new update about screen time for toddlers.
One of our early learning consultants emailed that to me recently too.
Really?
So, yeah.
So the new update, and although I feel like you and I already discussed this and we already made this point, is actually the 18-month-old to 2-month-olds, they're saying it's okay for them to have some screen time. What they're really saying is great for kids that age is to be able to use Skype or FaceTime or some sort of video conferencing with people that they know so they can communicate through the screen, and how that's a great way for them to be using some screen time. But once again, it's all about the quality of apps that you're using with your child, and that you should be sitting with them and engaging with them. And I think your analogy was kind of like watching Sesame Street with them and talking about the world around them and connecting with what they're seeing on the screen to the outside world. And the American Academy of Pediatrics is saying that is fine too, but you should make sure there's no screen time during dinner or meal times, and also no screen time an hour before bed for those littles.
That's interesting. So it sounds like what you're saying is that after they listened to our podcast, they decided to revise their position a little bit.
Well, I think we really had a big say in this. Let's be serious.
Yeah, I mean, it seems consistent with some of the things that we were talking about recently, for sure.
Yeah. As with everything in the world, a little common sense never hurt anybody. So I feel like this is really common sense. But the other thing that I thought was interesting is that children from 2 to 5, they're saying like 1 hour of screen time, but then they're also talking about, well, if they were to watch like 10 minutes of Sid the Science Guy at school, and then they discuss that with their classmates, and then they watch a short little video reflection of their field trip that they took. So bringing video home with them. And then maybe after recess, they go and do like a collaborative, like doodling app or something like that. Should that really be part of their hour of screen time that they're recommending? And really what they say is, as long as it's really high quality stuff, then that's the most important thing, is high quality over and as, you know, like a certain amount of time. So I think we kind of said that too. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, speaking of updates, we have another one. I've got a statement here to read from Google.
Oh.
It wasn't sent directly to us per se, but I'm going to read it like maybe it was.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
All right.
And it says, based on customer feedback, we are adding education-specific capabilities to the Explore tool in Google Docs before rolling it out to the Google for Education domains on scheduled release. Basically, they are adding back those features that they took away when they added the Explore function. So
right. And primarily the research tool, right?
Primarily the research tool, yeah. So in the last episode, you talked about, was it Alice Keeler that was putting together a kind of a petition for people to sign up for and say, we want those things back. Yep. And so, based on customer feedback, they're coming back.
Yeah, which is good, but only in the G Suite, right?
G Suite for Education?
G Suite, yeah. G Suite for Education. Is that it? G Suite for Education. That's what we're calling it now.
I believe so,
right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There's a new hashtag if people are interested. It's G Suite EDU, I believe, on Twitter.
Right, because it used to just be GAF.
Yeah. Which was short and sweet and didn't take up a lot of characters, which was good. But
right.
G Suite
but
EDU.
Now mm-hmm. Okay.
So that's good news.
All right, and Twitter's been updated a little bit.
Yeah, some Twitter updates too. So, I mean, this isn't all that recent, but if you haven't heard, things like photos, videos, GIFs, polls, quote tweets, all that kind of stuff do not count toward your 140 characters anymore.
Which is awesome.
Which is good, because pictures used to take up 21 characters or something weird like that. So you can now add as many pictures or videos and stuff, and it won't affect your 140 characters. Other things that they have done that is also different, and Mindy does this already, apparently. I asked her before the show. You can...
Oh, I didn't know we were bringing this up. Yeah, no, go ahead.
Hey, we can talk about it. It's just you and me, nobody else is listening.
Yeah, right. Nobody else is listening. So Jonathan said to me, did you know you can retweet yourself? And I said, well, yeah, I knew that. And which sounds really terrible, but the only time I retweet myself is my Seesaw QR code, like get an extra month of Seesaw for free, Seesaw Plus for free. That's the only tweet of my own that I ever retweet. And it's merely because I'm lazy. And I'm like, I'll just retweet this. And then sometimes I undo the retweet and then retweet it again. So I don't have to, because you only get to retweet yourself once.
Yeah, so have you never tried retweeting, or you can actually quote tweet yourself too now?
And I do that sometimes too.
You do?
Yeah, but only with my Seesaw Plus QR code. Only that.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our contractually obliged comment for Seesaw for this podcast.
Right, for Seesaw, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'm happy they're getting rid of is you having to put that little period before the @ sign, so that, before what you had to do if you wanted, so if you tweet at someone, what used to happen was that if you did like at Jonathan Wiley, the only people that would see that tweet would be Jonathan's followers and my followers that are alike. Right? So now they've gotten rid of the fact, because then you had to put a little period in front of it if you wanted all of the followers to be able to see it. So now they've gotten rid of that. So
I haven't tested this. Have you tested it to see if that works yet or not?
You know what? I've done it because I saw that it was like that now, but I'm still seeing people use periods before the @ sign, which made me kind of wonder, like, is it real? I mean, when I read the article, I thought, oh, this is great because that's so annoying. And then I started not using the little period in front of the @ but I was still seeing people using it. So I thought, well, maybe it was like being rolled out at another time. I don't know. So I saw some tweets about like, how come I can see this tweet of yours? Because I don't, you know what I mean? Like I saw some tweets about it. So I don't know. I'm assuming it works. I don't know why it wouldn't.
Well, because there is one more that hasn't rolled out yet that is coming. And that is when you reply to a tweet, the @username will no longer count toward the 140 characters.
Oh.
So that's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
There's a little thing that Twitter had up here that said, characters are for conversations, not for usernames. So that is still to roll out. I tested that again this morning, at least on the mobile app that I use. And it was still counting it towards 140 characters, but that's coming.
It must be coming sometime. That's a good one, too.
Yeah.
One of the ways I try and get around that, and I don't know if it really works or not, is to quote tweets. I would take someone's quote or someone's tweet and quote it, and then in my, I don't know.
Right, because they'll still get notified that you mentioned them by doing a quote tweet.
Yeah. But then who sees it? Just my followers or the person? Because you get a notification that you've been mentioned in a tweet, right? Or that they've quoted your tweet. So then, I don't know. It gets a little gray for me. I'm like, who sees this tweet and who doesn't? I don't know.
So lots of follow-up, I think. Interesting things. So Google Play Music, the Google Explore feature is getting updates. We had the screen time updates and Twitter updates.
Hey, did you give a date on when the Google Explore, Google Docs research tool is coming back? Is it November? Sometime in November?
This statement I have did not have a date attached to it.
Yeah, I feel like it's in November. I think I saw it because I have like the Google rollout calendar. I think I saw it in November, but I could be wrong.
All right, sounds good. All right, so our hot topic for this week is one that I have, let's say, borrowed from somewhere else because I'm doing a grad class right now with Steve Dembo, and this is one of the opening conversations that he asked us to have as a group as part of that online cohort, and it was in regards to should schools allow YouTube to be on their network and to be accessible for students. And I think this is kind of an interesting topic because there's definitely pros and cons that go along with this. The context we looked at it was in relation to CIPA, which is the Children's Internet Protection Act, that requires schools to implement internet safety. And one of the comments or one of the restrictions that it says there is access by minors to inappropriate matter on the internet. And although there is a lot of great things on YouTube, there are some things I think people would quite easily categorize as inappropriate matter at times. So what do you think, Mindy?
Oh, this is a hard one. I say yes to YouTube. I'm not going to be wishy-washy about it. I'm just going to say yes to YouTube. And I know as a teacher, I struggled with this a ton because I worked with first and second grade students. And my biggest thing wasn't about getting the videos. It was about the advertisements that came up after, and that like, I don't know if they have a special name for it, but like the grid of different videos that pop up after the end of your video.
Yes, they're related videos.
Those were the things that I always was so worried about because I felt like sometimes they could change too. They could be so random. And that's where I always got super nervous. So one of the things I did was I still used YouTube videos, but I pulled them into QuietTube and used that and gave the URL for the videos that were used in there. I never let my kids just search YouTube ever. They were videos that I picked and had watched and used. And I can't imagine having not taught without YouTube. So I'm saying, yes, we just had to be very careful and very diligent about how we're allowing our students to use it and just keep our eyes open and keep a conversation going about what happens if we see something that we shouldn't have seen. So, yes.
Yeah. And, there are some schools that take a compromise approach. And, those schools that you sometimes go to that have got like a staff network and like a student network. And when you do things like that, it lets you adjust what you filter and what you don't. So, for instance, you could allow YouTube for teachers, but not allow it for students. And when it comes to like SEPA and things like that, access to minors by minors to inappropriate matter on the internet, then you're restricting that access, but you're still not denying teachers the ability to access the good educational material that's on there.
Right, but doesn't your school filter take care of some of that stuff? I mean, especially for older students, I mean, YouTube, that's how kids look up new information now. They look for videos. We still look for websites and sit and read. Kids don't use YouTube like we use Google, right? So, I mean, if we take that away from them, aren't we taking away a great research tool? Yeah,
we absolutely are. It's just, if you put yourself in the shoes of a technology director, you want to make sure that your school is SEPA compliant. And are you SEPA compliant if you are allowing YouTube? I don't know. I mean, SEPA is kind of vague. It doesn't say what kind of things you can and can't do. I mean, it does talk about more specific things that you should definitely block, and those things are pretty obvious. But I think YouTube falls into that gray area sometimes a bit,
Yeah, absolutely. I know. But the thing is, too, like, I'm not saying just because kids can use their cell phones all day long that makes it okay. But, I mean, isn't it better to have the conversations in the classroom? And, yeah, do we want our students to see something inappropriate? Absolutely not. Do we want to have that uncomfortable conversation about it? Absolutely not. But is it necessary? Yes, of course it is. And if we don't allow those mistakes to happen in school, I don't know. I just think that we can't. I just don't feel like we can filter it.
Yeah, it's a valid point because, like you said, I mean, if they don't come across the content at school, they're going to come across the content at home or on their way home with their cell phones or other places. So,
yeah, in their room at night when no one's around, and no one to talk to about it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I think, that digital citizenship conversation is an important one. It's something that, is going to apply at home and at school. So, yeah. So it's maybe a yes with a disclaimer that you have a good digital citizenship program in place.
All right. So on to the main course, served to you piping hot. Choose your own adventure stories. Resident expert, Jonathan Wiley.
I don't know if I'll call myself a resident expert, but I have talked to a few schools about this in the past. I've done a couple of presentations at Edtech and other places, and Choose Your Own Adventure Stories is one of those things that kind of has a little special place in my heart, Mindy. Not that my cold, dark heart.
Jeez, no kidding.
I know.
You had one.
I know. We talked recently about how I don't really have a whole lot of childhood memories. Didn't we have that conversation?
Yeah. Yes.
Do I remember that correctly? Yeah. But one of the memories I do have, strangely enough, is of Choose Your Own Adventure Stories. I have a pretty strong memory of at the weekend walking down to my local library and checking out more Choose Your Own Adventure books. And so this is 100 years ago. But it's something I still have a good, strong recollection of. It was one of those types of genres that, as a boy, it really encouraged me to read more because I wasn't always a big reader when I was younger.
Yeah. So when you read a Choose Your Own Adventure story, did you read both endings or did you just stick with your ending and that's what you read? Or did you go back and see what the second ending was?
Well, a couple of ways I read this. So I would read the book several times and deliberately take some different choices. But the first time I would read through the book, I would keep my finger in the page just in case. And then it said turn to page 47. And then you turn to page 47 and you fall down a hole and die or something like that. Then I would flip back over and choose the other one and know that was the correct one to take. But, for the most part, I like to hedge my bets a bit, but...
yeah, right.
But I did go back and read through it, and now that I knew what one path was like, I would take the other path, and so... Mm-hmm.
I remember Choose Your Own Adventure Stories, but I don't remember, one sticking out to me, I always enjoyed them, but did the endings always end in two different directions? I don't really remember that. I I don't remember. Like, or were they kind of similar and it was always a disappointment? It must not have been a disappointment to you because you obviously really enjoyed them. But
I mean, sometimes there was like alternate endings, and then there was like endings that were just like, you failed in your quest, or you didn't, get to where you were trying to get to, and things like that. So yeah, different types of endings.
Yeah, interesting. So the cool thing about now technology is the ability to make your own, choose your own. And you could have anyway before, but there's some cool tools out there that you can use to make your own, choose your own adventure stories.
Yes, there absolutely are. And we're going to talk about some of those.
Yeah, let's.
So, I don't know. I think we should take a step back and talk about planning first, because in the times that I've done this with students or with other teachers, I think the planning part is the hardest part, because that's the bit that takes the longest. And you get into these kind of like tree diagrams of choices that you have to make, where you start here, then there's 2 choices, and then it turns into 4 choices and 8 choices and all the rest. But if we've got some templates that we could link to in the show notes that can help with that. But I think especially the first time you do this with students, you want to make it as simple as possible. You don't want like 48 different endings to a story. You just want to keep it fairly simple and keep the choices manageable.
So, what does a planning sheet like that look like? I mean, I haven't seen what you do. So do you use just like a graphic organizer that's like starts here and then stems out to 2 and then stems out to 4, or do you do more like a flow chart kind of thing? Where, I mean, what's it look like?
Yeah, so flowcharts and those mind mapping tools are great for that type of deal, because you can just branch off and make different paths for doing that. Sylvia Duckworth created one inside of Google Docs, which is kind of cool, where the template's already there, and it's like first question, 2 choices, and then it says link to this, link to that, and go forth, and it gets narrower and narrower as it go down, and the choices increase. But different things you could use for that for sure. Sometimes it might just be easier to take like a big piece of poster paper and like draw it out. And
that's what I would do.
Yeah, I think that's what I would do too. You're not going to write out word for word what you're going to have on each page or each slide or anything else, but you could just sketch out your ideas and in your head have an idea of where your story's going to go.
Right. So what's your top tool for making a choose your own adventure story?
Well, like I said, I'd done this as a presentation with other people before, and when I've done it in the past, it really lends itself to a lot of the Google apps for education tools.
Right, I agree, yeah.
Or the G Suite for education tools.
Yes, come on.
Yeah.
Stay with the times
here. To get
here.
the nomenclature right, I think.
Yes, right.
So Google Forms, pretty straightforward, easy one to do. And it basically uses that kind of branching element, whereby, like in a multiple choice type question, you'll have seen these maybe in forms before, where, it says, if you answer this question, go to page 2. If you answer it with this answer, go to page 3. And
it's only multiple choice you can do that with in Google Forms, right?
I believe you can do it with the drop-down one. I don't know what that drop-down option's called, but you can do it with the drop-down ones where you can branch out to different places.
Just multiple choice.
So basically you split your Google form up into different pages, and the pages are the choices that people make. And the nice thing about forms is obviously you can add images, you can add text, you can add videos, so that you can link off and make it a really multimedia story. Right.
Or even like how I always talk about Google Forms, because I'm not a huge fan of quizzes on forms, but, like kind of a choose your own adventure as far as how you're learning something. So you can watch a video and answer a question about it, and based on how the student answers, we'll take them to a different section. So that's one of the things you have to remember, is to connect one question to another question, you have to break them out into sections. Right? You said pages, I think, but it's sections.
Yeah, sections.
Yeah, so I'm just saying it, not that I really care your terminology, but if you're looking how to do it, you have to create a new section and then link that question to a different section.
Yeah, I think it used to be called pages. It used to be called go to page based on answers. Now they change it to sections and things. So,
right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I saw a really kind of clever one from a teacher in Ankeny, Prairie Trail Elementary in Ankeny, and we can link to that. But he did one on the rock cycle with his kids, which was kind of fun, but it's not really like a story per se, but you choose one of the 3 types of rocks. So you choose it's either metamorphic or sedimentary or igneous, and that's how your rock starts. And after that, you choose what happens to it. So either goes through weathering, erosion, and cementing to become something else, or it's put under great heat and pressure to become something else. It gets so hot, it melts into magma, and then it becomes... and it turns into like the next rock, and then you get the same choices again. And because it's a cycle, it just goes round and round forever, and it never stops.
Yeah, right. Huh.
So I thought that was kind of a fun way.
So how does it end? So how do you make the form end then? I mean, because usually at the end of a form, it's like submit. So it just continues to go in a cycle and never has a submit at the end of it? I'm just wondering, how does it end? Yeah,
you do have to have, you don't, I mean, if you do a cycle one, it goes around in circles all the time. But otherwise, you could have a submit, and you could have like a little message at the end that says, "Congratulations, you have successfully
You're a rock.
completed." Otherwise, you could have like a kind of like a false ending where it's like, "Sorry, you failed. Click here to try again," and it will take you back up to page 1, and so forth around there. So,
that's good.
Kind of an interesting idea, right?
Yeah, it is. Forms for everyone.
Forms for everyone.
Form for everyone. You get a form and you get a form.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Google Slides works pretty much the same way. And again, you've got those branching choices. You're just linking to different slides this time instead of different sections.
Right.
Yeah, and it works with the hyperlink tool. So if you hyperlink some text, it could say like, go to page 1 or go to page 2. When you hyperlink it, by default, Google will look for suggesting a web link, but you will also get the option to link to a slide in the presentation. If you scroll down a little bit further, and you can go to next slide, you can choose a specific slide, and that's a really easy way to do some linking that way too.
Yeah, and you don't have to just link text. You can link images too. So even for like your younger students or non-readers, you can put images up and have them click on the image, that they want to learn more about or whatever. And so that image can also be hyperlinked to another link in your slide.
Yeah, it's really important that, I think, especially for those younger students, you can also use like the shape tool and like bring out an arrow or something and points to a picture or something. And then they can just like, click on the arrow or the picture or whatever. So yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. What about, I'm going to say this is a yes, but if you take like a Google drawing from Docs, you could hyperlink that even too, right? Like, so you could do like even like a flow chart or something that you've created and put it, right? Just as a screenshot, and that would still be an image. It's just thinking of some different things that you could hyperlink.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I like Google Slides. It's like my favorite.
It's really pretty easy and intuitive, and it kind of goes back to those like non-linear presentations. You remember we did those in the Apple training? Yes. So this you could do in Keynote as well. You could do it in PowerPoint. It's just linking between slides and creating those non-linear presentations.
Yeah, and I think what Google Slides has over Google Forms is just, it's pleasing to look at. I mean, you can add lots of different graphics and make it really personalized, where Google Forms is pretty, I don't know, it's kind of bland.
You're restricted to the themes and things that Google has for those.
Right. Yeah. So Google Form or Google Slides, I think you could make something much more pretty. And that's important too.
It is important. Good design is important. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Google Sites. I've also done this with Google Sites too. Now, it's you're linking between different pages on a website. So the kind of important thing with this is that you remove any kind of navigation on your website. Right. Because otherwise people could just navigate to whatever page they felt like navigating to, and they would...
And then it wouldn't be a choose your own adventure.
Yeah, it would kind of spoil the illusion, really. You would choose your own adventure, but you wouldn't be as engaged in the storyline and things like that. So
I was going to say, we haven't talked much about the new Google Sites. it's much more user-friendly, don't you think? Have you used it much since they made the switch over to the new Google Sites?
Well, they've not officially made the switch over, really, have they?
Oh, they haven't?
No, I mean, you and I have access to it because, we were part of a preview or beta testing that Google were putting out there. I don't know officially when the new Google Sites are coming out, but yeah, it's something to watch out for. We could...
it's better.
It is definitely a lot cleaner, a lot easier to navigate. You don't have I think the worst part of the Google Sites right now is when you hit that gear and you go into manage site and there's just a ton of options and stuff that people don't really know where to find stuff. And then you have to dig even deeper if you want to go and customize the colors and the themes. And
the hours I spent on Google Sites, looking for the one little navigation menu where you put the pages in the different order in the navigation. Oh my gosh.
I know it.
I could never find that. And I would spend hours looking for it. And then I'd be like, oh, here it is. And then I'd forget again where it was at. I'm like, oh, yeah. So
if you'd never seen the new Google Sites, I guess Mindy could find a video on YouTube that gives a quick overview of what that looks like. And we'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, sure. It looks good. It looks so much more updated, I think, and just much cleaner. Prettier once again. All about the pretty today.
Yeah, I guess so. And so it worked well for Choose Your Own Adventure Stories. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I guess.
I'm trying to bring
I totally went on a tangent. Sorry.
Trying to bring us back on track there. But
all right. Sorry. But
yeah, you can absolutely do it if you like making websites and things like that. You could do it in Google Sites. You could do it in Weebly. You could do it in Wix. You could do it in any of these types of things, as long as you have the ability to hide the navigation and keep those things out of the way.
Okay, but you have to tell the one that you like. My mind was blown today by your next tool that you showed me.
It did blow your mind a little bit, didn't it?
You did. I was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea you could do that. It was awesome.
So I showed Mindy how you could do Choose Your Own Adventure Stories with YouTube.
Mind blown. It's like, no, wait, what?
That was kind of fun. Now, somewhere, Mindy, there is a video for Choose Your Own Adventure that Tony Emsler and I made, and we did a Choose Your Own Adventure video. So I'm going to have to dig that out because Jar Jar Binks is in that video too.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my!
It's not very pretty.
I can't wait.
But
I bet not. But I'm looking forward to finding that.
So in YouTube, they have this thing called annotations, and they allow you to highlight or select different parts of the screen. And you've probably seen these when you've been watching a video and something will pop up and say, click here to subscribe to the channel and stuff like that.
Right.
So you take those annotations and you put them over something that would let people make a choice. So I showed you a video from Greg Kulovich and his 9th grade world history students. And basically they held up like a whiteboard. And on one side, it said, the Egyptian Civil War, and the other one, it said the French Civil War. And then you click on the one that you want, and it takes you to another video that gives you more information about what you want to learn about.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
It was fun. I don't know, because especially when they held their whiteboards up, I'm like, well, I don't get this. And then I could see they had drawn a square around for their annotation that perfectly matched their little whiteboard. And I'm like, oh, I get it. That was super neat. I liked it.
Yeah, so we can link to that video and let people see that one. Yeah. But you could do it as theirs was kind of like a nonfiction storytelling type of deal, but you could do it as a more of a dramatic storytelling thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Get some green screen going. Be super fun.
What about some other tools that we could use for Choose Your Own Adventure Stories? You've used or you've come across IncoWriter before, is that right?
Yeah, you know what? I have. When you pulled it up today, I took a look at it and I thought, oh yeah, I've seen this, but I haven't used it by any means. But it's kind of what IncoWriter is for, right? It's to use. Yeah, so I suppose it's worth a look. I don't know much about it. I can't recommend it by any means, but it looks good.
Yeah, I went to ISTE about 3 years ago, I think it was. And one of the presentations I went to was done as a Choose Your Own Adventure PD session. And they used IncoWriter and they wrote it up and said, okay, we're talking about this. Would you like to learn more about this tool or would you like to learn more about this tool? And we voted on Socrative. And when the votes came in, he'd click on the link and take us down that path and so forth. So I thought that was kind of an interesting way to use it as well. Have a choose your own PD adventure. But
I like that idea.
Yeah, it definitely it was meant for the classroom as well, and creating choose your own adventure stories with kids. So Inklewriter, it's a fun one to check out.
Inklewriter. Yeah, for sure. And then I came across Code Academy has like a choose your own adventure coding prompt. And I'll link that into the show notes, but I thought that was kind of an interesting, different play on choose your own adventure. And I'm not much into programming. Like I went and played with it a little bit. I'm like, oh boy, I probably need to take a few lessons before I do this. But I thought that was kind of a different way to go about choose your own adventure. I don't know.
I have not seen this before. What do you get to choose or make choices
well,
with?
It runs you through prompts. So you have to start with like getting people engaged in the game, and then it just gives you instructions from there about what your next commands, and then you can kind of I don't know, create your own choose your own adventure. So then the person who's playing your game gets to, engage in the adventure that you've created.
Yeah, and I guess if you think about video games and things like that,
it's all about choose your own adventure.
It's all about choice, isn't it? And making your own choice for things. So
yeah,
I like that. I wrote up a lesson plan once, and if I can find it, I will link to it on how to use OneNote for choose your own adventure, and that was linking to different pages inside a OneNote notebook. I don't know if you could
do that in Docs too.
Yeah, actually in Docs you can use like that, the bookmarking tool.
Bookmarks.
And you do like a table of, and then you can just say like, do you want to go here or go here? And then it's basically just linking to bookmarks within the same doc. So I would definitely, if you did it in Docs, maybe mix up your content a little bit so it wasn't necessarily in order, because otherwise just scrolling down gives you like a peek at what's coming next.
Well, and even if you put a page break between each page.
Oh, yeah, I like that.
So then it would say, okay, well, the next page is coming, so I need to make a choice here before I move on or something like that, or had like just an image on that page in between that says, don't scroll any farther, make your choice or something. I don't know.
Oh, one more interesting thing.
Oh, yeah, what?
What?
I said, oh, yeah, what?
When I was showing some teachers Google Forms for Choose Your Own Adventure, I know we're going back here, but I just remembered this.
That's right.
One of the teachers said to me, have you ever looked at the responses and analysed the choices the students are making and maybe talk to them about why they made certain choices? I thought, that's a really interesting way to look at it too, because, you get the data and the graphs and stuff like that. Yeah. So you could do this for office forms as well. But, why did students make that choice? Why did like 60% choose this and only 40% chose that and so forth?
Yeah.
There could be some interesting conversations there.
Well, yeah, I mean, just the data analysis behind, coming up with reasons. Well, why do you think someone would choose this topic? I mean, all subject aside, just the math discussion about it would be great.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. Good idea.
So lots of good ideas for Choose Your Own Adventures. I mean, I'm thinking about why you might want to do this in the classroom. I guess we've talked about some of these ideas already, but, some kind of creative writing for sure. It obviously very easily lends itself to that.
Student voice and choice.
Have you ever seen those like alternative history type of things? Those sliding door moments in history where, what would have happened if we had not done this and, we did that instead. And you can go down and make those kind of alternate choices.
Yeah, kind of like, what's that show that we kind of all started watching last year, Man in the High Castle?
Yeah, don't talk about it too much. I'm still not caught up yet.
Okay. But. No, I only watched the first couple episodes, but it is like that. It's like an alternative...
It is.
Historic ending. Yeah. I mean, the whole show is based on that. So it's highly engaging because it makes you really think about what would have happened if this one little decision was different, So, yeah, that's a good idea. I like that idea.
Do you know what a dichotomous key is, Mindy?
Oh, no.
I didn't know either. I learned about this when I went to a presentation recently. But a dichotomous key in science is a way of like classifying animals. So you could say, does the animal have feathers? Yes, no. And then you come down your branch and then, yes, does your animal have, I don't know, or can your animal fly? And then you're classifying animals and basically going down that branching part to make choices and identify animals. So you could use it for things like that too.
It kind of reminds me of that game. It was like a little handheld video game, right? Called just 20 questions or something like that. And you'd have like an object in your mind, and then the device would ask you these different questions to kind of start categorizing your question or your, your object that you're holding in your mind. And I almost always got it right.
What if you did Oregon Trail?
I never played Oregon Trail.
You never played Oregon Trail?
No.
Oh, Mindy. But I mean, that was all about choices.
It's like that though, right? Isn't that kind of what it is?
Yeah, similar. Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and obviously you could have your ending, you died of dysentery or whatever else. And, I think Oregon Trail is tailor-made for choose your own adventures type stories.
Yeah. Interesting.
Another one I saw was the impossible to fail quiz.
Oh, because it just kept making you learn what you hadn't gotten correct.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you could do it as a kind of an assessment type thing, and if students choose a specific answer, then it's the wrong answer. They get to go to a page that's got video reteaching and stuffing, and then they go back and answer another question to prove that they can now do that skill, and then they go back onto the test, so you can take different paths of learning and assessment.
Personalized learning.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I think lots of good potential for choose your own adventure in the classroom.
Absolutely.
It can be done on lots of different devices, lots of different curricular areas, and I think it's a lot easier to do than people think.
I think so too. It's all about the planning.
The planning is a hard bit, and then as long as you know how to link something, whether it's in a doc or a form or a slide or a website, whatever, if you can know how to link, Control K, Command K, then that's all there is to it, really.
Yeah.
We say that's all there is to it, but...
Yeah. Well, if you need more help, let us know.
We would be happy to help.
All right, on to my favorite part of the show. It's time for Tech Nuggets.
Tech Nuggets.
Tech Nuggets.
Yeah. Well, Mindy, you've got 3 this week, so I think you should start.
I know. Okay, so because I have 3, I'm going to do each one of them very short. My first one is Ken, which I will link in the show notes. Jonathan actually showed me this one, so I'm going to give him props for this because what Ken does is it's kind of like those Sudoku puzzles, which I love. I love. But you can set it to difficulty by the number in the grid. So like a 3x3 grid, 4x4 grid. And then you only get to use numbers 1 through 3, 1 through 4, depending on your grid size. And then there's a targeted number in marked off spots in the grid. And then kind of like Sudoku, you can only use 1, 2, 3 in each column or 1, 2, 3 in each row. You can't double numbers, so you can't duplicate numbers. And what I like about this app is, first of all, that it's free. And secondly, that there are a ton of different options. So you can change so that students are using just addition and subtraction, multiplication, division. So lots of different ways for you to personalize for that student. I gave it to my first grader who is he really enjoys math, does really well with math. And I could see his brain seriously working. And once he kind of got used to using it, he was figuring out those puzzles super quick, but it was really making him think. And I thought, this is a gem. So nice job, Jonathan Wiley. That one was called Ken.
Thank you very much. It's done by the National Council for Teachers of Mathematics.
Yep.
Yes, and it is available as an iOS app, but I think you can also play it on the website as well. If you go to
I didn't even know there was a website.
If you go to the NCTM Illuminations website, I believe.
Yeah.
So we can link to that and
sure.
Try that out. So if you don't have access to an iOS device, give that one a go.
Okay.
I will talk very briefly about EdShelf, which is one that was reasonably new to me. I don't think it's like brand new or anything, but EdShelf is kind of similar to something like Symbaloo, where you would take a collection of websites or apps or tools that you wanted to link to, and you make a collection of educational tools. Mm-hmm. So they call it a socially curated discovery engine for websites, mobile apps, desktop programs. And the nice thing about it is once you click in like the URL for the app or the website, it will generate like a little icon for you automatically. You can have multiple boards. You can search for boards that other people have. So if you're thinking, I don't know, maybe I'm looking for some early childhood apps, you can go to EdShelf, search for early childhood, see the boards that other people have created. You can follow people and get updates from all their latest boards. It's just a nice way of collecting, curating, and sharing information in a nice visual way. So we like that one. It's
yeah,
something
I do too.
Come across.
I use that one a lot. Yep, that's a good one.
Good.
My next one is Osmo again came out with a new, I don't know, they're not really mods. What would you call them? A new game, new manipulative kit called Pizza Company. And what I love about this one is it's everything to do with money. So kids get to make pizzas, and then they have customers who give them a certain amount of money to pay for their pizza, and then they have to make change. And it's interactive. It's super fun. The graphics are really cute. We don't have one here yet at Grant Wood. We've ordered one, I believe. So I haven't got my hands on it yet, but I have seen the commercials, and I would definitely suggest taking a look at that one, because I think it'd be a great way for kids to work with money in a real life experience sort of way, because that money is so tricky for kids, and making change is so tricky for kids. I see adults it's tricky for. So I think this is going to be a really great one.
All right, so I have, you had 3 picks. I have a kind of a 3 for the price of 1 here, Mindy.
Okay.
It's a tool called Spiral, and you can get to it at spiral.ac. I believe that they are a company that are based in the UK. And you know how much I like to mention companies that are based in the UK.
Yeah.
So it comes with 3 online tools here, which work on pretty much any device from what I can see. One of them, the first one's called Quickfire, which lets you do whole class activity, question and answer type things, kind of like some of those, formative assessment type things like formative, where you get that real-time feedback.
Right.
You can prepare the questions ahead of time, or you can do them on the fly if you want. Project them all up on a whiteboard, and students can reply either with text or with a drawing board. And the teacher gets all the data back to see how students answered. They can call up specific answers that students have said anonymously and say, okay, I'll take a look at this. Why do you think this person did that? And so forth. So that's the quickfire one. The second one is called Discuss, and it's a little bit more formally structured in terms of you can create like a presentation and have students see that on their screens. You can put little prompts in for the students to answer questions during the presentation. You can track the student progress, and basically it's based around the idea of having a discussion in the class together. Maybe one of those kind of back channel type tools that we've talked about in the past. You can upload a PowerPoint, or you can create one from scratch with this tool itself. And the last one, as part of this trilogy of tools, is called Team Up. And this is to facilitate collaboration and group presentations between students. And you as the teacher can set like a task for the whole class, or you can set like a number of like group tasks, and you can arrange the students into teams, or you can hit a button and have it create the teams for you. And those teams then work on that assigned question together in this platform. And you as the teacher have access to everything that all the teams are doing and collaborating on and creating together. So it is 100% free, and you get 3 for the price of 1. It's called Spiral. I'm still digging into it a little bit. I'm going to write a blog post on it at some point soon, but I think it has a lot of potential.
All right. So my last one actually comes from Tony Vincent, and it was kind of like a little surprise and delight. And it's called the Schwazi Finger Chooser. And
the what? The Schwazi?
Yeah, I think so. The Schwazi Finger Chooser. If I might be pronouncing it wrong, I don't know. But so it was just a free app, and the way you would use it is if you're trying to make groups of kids, everybody puts their finger on the screen when this app is up and running, and you can choose if you want like pairs or triples or whatever, and then you match up your fingerprint, then leaves a color of sorts, and then you would pair up with the person that has the same color as you do. Just like that. It's super fun.
That's pretty simple, but
yeah,
easy to do, isn't it?
Yeah. So if you're not looking to like manipulate, pairs, like sometimes you try and put different kids together. If you're looking just for, just to quickly put kids into groups, they all can put their finger, on the iPad. I don't know how many you can put on. I know I had all 10 of my fingers on at one time, like pairing my fingers up, but, yeah, super fun and just quick. And I think kids would just kind of get a kick out of it. So check that one out.
So when you put 10 fingers on there, you got 10 different colors?
No, I got 5 different colors.
Oh, of course. And
yeah, because I wanted
groups.
Pairs.
We should get together after the podcast and put like 20 fingers on there and see what happens. Okay, cool. I like it. It's a free app.
Yeah, free.
All right, so that about wraps it up for another exciting episode of the EdTech Takeout. We very much enjoy hearing from you, like we usually say at this time of the podcast. Please keep in touch. You can email us, podcast@gwaea.org. You can follow the Digital Learning Team on Twitter @DLGWAEA. I am at Jonathan Wiley. Mindy is at Team Kearney. We had some feedback from a reviewer on iTunes from Canada who identifies themselves as Virtual GIF. They said, what I love most about this podcast is how much I learn in every episode. There are always a plethora of new tools discussed and examples of practical ways to use these tools in the classroom. I often listen on my drive into work as inspiration for the day.
Inspiration for the day?
You are someone's inspiration for the day, Mindy.
Thank you.
That's very generous, wasn't it?
It's very generous. Overly generous, yes.
So feel free, send us any feedback you want, either via email or as an iTunes review. And until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot.
For more information on today's episode, please visit dlgwaea.org/podcast.